You guys know what time it is. It is reading update time once again, and this past week I managed to read 4 books, which is really good, especially for me lately. And the first book I read was Lover at Last by J.R. Ward. Now, I've already posted a discussion video for Lover at Last, which I will leave a link to in the drop-down box. So I'm not really going to spend too much time talking about it here. I will say that this book was almost 600 pages long, and I read it in a little over 24 hours, which, even though I read quite quickly, I think that's still some kind of a record for me. Did I have problems with the book? A few. Were there things I would have changed? Yes. However, I think overall this book was great. A huge step up from the last 2 books in the series, which were disappointing for me for various reasons. But I am extremely proud of J.R. Ward. I loved the way that she handled the love story between Blaine and Quinn. I think, she didn't water it down, she didn't hold back, and I was thrilled that she didn't. And I think the ending was about as perfect as you could possibly get for a paranormal romance. So, yes, 2 huge thumbs up. I gave it 6 stars on Goodreads. And, yeah, so once again, if you haven't read anything in this series, I highly recommend it if you're looking for a little bit of trashy goodness. So, yeah, embrace your cheese, people. Yes. Never be ashamed of what you read or listen to or watch or anything like that, because it just adds to your personality and it makes you the person that you are. Yeah, okay, so now that I've gotten the Dr. Phil moment out of the way, the next book I read was Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. So I actually got an arc of this book before it was ever published, and it was one of those situations where I got the arc, I put it on my Kindle, and I forgot about it. It's embarrassing, but these things happen. The book sort of caught my attention finally when I saw a video by Padfoot and Prongs '07. I believe this is her favorite book of all time. I suddenly remembered that I had it on my Kindle the whole time, and I decided that I really, really needed to read this bitch. So, briefly, this book is about a kid named Greg who prides himself on the fact that he doesn't have any friends. He sort of likes to stay under everybody's radar. He likes to fade into the background. He does, however, have a partner in crime, this kid named Earl, who, and the two of them, what they like to do is to make these incredibly insane remake home movie versions of their favorite films. And one day Greg goes home and he finds out from his mother that this girl that he used to have a class with, because of course you cannot call her a friend because he doesn't have any friends, has been diagnosed with leukemia, and she tells him that he really needs to sort of hang out with her again to help keep her spirits up. Now, I had really mixed emotions about this book. I really, really, really enjoyed the first half of this book. I found it quite entertaining. Yeah, the best part of the book were the scenes between Greg and Earl when they were recreating these movies. It was extremely funny. It did sort of get a little bit repetitive. The humor got a little bit repetitive. For a 250-page book, it almost felt like it was dragging towards the end. And for me, the transition that Jessie Andrews tried to make between this sort of lighthearted, sort of juvenile humor, which was working in the first half, to more serious, sort of semi-tragic kind of story at the end didn't really translate that well for me. So, didn't love it as much as other people have. But I did give it 3 stars on Goodreads, mainly for the first half of the book. Next up was another super short book which I read in a day, and it was The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Jobsky. Oh boy. Okay. It's time for me to climb onto the unpopular opinion train once again. This book was really not at all what I expected. On the positive side, I have to say I really like the character of Charlie. I think he was very relatable. The simplicity of his character, he almost seemed sort of very naive. Well, he didn't almost. He was, especially at the beginning of the book, he was very naive, and I liked that aspect of the book. However, I have to say, maybe I just went into this with, blinders on or whatever, but I was not expecting this book to be as incredibly dark as it ended up being. Okay, spoiler, in case you haven't read this book, I'm just going to talk about a couple things, but really quickly. Alright, Um, from the fact that Charlie blamed himself for his aunt's death because she was going out, when she died, she was going out to buy him a birthday present, to, you know, his sister going out with this guy who hits her, but she refuses to stop seeing him, and then this poem that he stands up at this party and reads, and it turns out it might have been a suicide note from this kid who killed himself. I mean, I found this book. I know a lot of people love this book. A lot of people, this is their favorite book of all time. And, you know, more power to you. If you got more out of this book than I did, I'm really glad. But at the same time, please understand this is just my opinion and this is just how the book affected me. This was one of the most depressing books I've ever read in my life. I mean, yeah, at the end, things did slightly improve for Charlie, but I apologize to everybody who loves this book. Please don't leave me hate. You have to understand different books affect different people different ways, and that probably makes no sense, but you have to get what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, I didn't, it wasn't for me. I was very disappointed because I had wanted this book for so long and somebody gifted it to me off of my Amazon wish list and I was super excited, and I ended up not enjoying it very much, unfortunately, and I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads. And the 2 stars were simply because I liked the character of Charlie and I liked his voice in the book. So, yeah. Literally, the book depressed the hell out of me. Seriously. I needed something fluffy and light. I needed something that would cheer me up. And so, I think I picked just about the perfect book when you're feeling blue and sad. And it was Anne and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. This book was exactly what I needed, you guys. I can't believe I had not read this before now. I think just about everybody in BookTube land has read this book. Yeah, but it was so sweet, so romantic, and I think for about at least 85% of this book, I sat there reading it with a humongous grin on my face, which you cannot say very often when reading a book, especially with some of the overly emotional books that I've been reading lately. I plan on reading Lola and the Boy Next Door very soon. Such a great book. I definitely going to be on in my top reads of 2013. Oh, and because of this book, I learned a new word. Yeah, callipygian, which means finely shaped buttocks. Yes. Fit it into a sentence, you guys. As for what I'm reading now, I just started The Monstrumologist by Ricky Yancey, which has been on my TBR for about 2-3 years now, and I just decided that I should try to read it because I've been hearing all of this hype regarding his new series that's coming out in May, which is called The Fifth Wave. Entertainment Weekly did a thing about how it's going to be the new Hunger Games, and I tend to be a little wary when people start hyping a book before it's even released, but the trailer looks really cool. And yeah, I'm only about maybe 15% into it, but I really like it. It's very creepy and yeah, so kind of a good kind of a good balance between the super incredibly sweet romance of Anna and the French Kiss to start reading a book about monsters and stuff like that. Yeah. I do have a question for you guys, for those of you who have stuck around to the end of this video. I was considering doing a video where I ask you guys to choose between maybe like 2 or 3 different books, and you guys tell me which book I should read next, because I've been having a really hard time picking books to read. So I think this would be good for me. Kind of take the choice out of my hands and leave it up to you guys, and you can tell me what to read next. So let me know what you think, if you'd be interested in participating in this, and if so, then hopefully within a few days I'll have a video up and you guys can choose what I read next. So yeah. Leave me a comment, you guys. Tell me what you think of this idea. And as always, I will talk to you soon. Happy reading. And yeah, toodles!